A vaccine doesn't exist yet, but studies suggest plasma from former COVID-19 patients could help cure the illness as it contains antibodies. They're produced by the immune system to neutralize pathogens. When a virus enters the body, the immune system develops specific antibodies that dock onto the virus's antigens to remove it. The method is used against other diseases. People once sick, but now recovered, donate blood. The blood plasma extracted contains antibodies and is given to patients suffering from COVID-19. That's the idea, but does it work?
Now, plasma is the liquid portion of blood in which the red and white blood cells are suspended along with the platelets, which help in blood clotting. When blood is donated, a centrifuge separates the plasma. The solid parts, the red and white blood cells and platelets, settle to the bottom. The plasma, which makes up about 55% of the total blood volume, stays on top. A lot of countries are experimenting with plasma, but there's just not enough to go round. So the trials are focused on severely ill patients with the coronavirus. Several German institutes are looking into the treatment, including Regensburg University Hospital.
A little jab for a good cause. Maximilian Stirner has agreed to donate plasma. The teenager and the donor next to him have what everyone's looking for: coronavirus antibodies. They've both successfully recovered from the infection.
If it can save lives or relieve someone's pain, it's worth it. Because I can help others. It'd be unfair not to do that.
Doctors at Regensburg University Hospital started developing their own antibody test in February. They've been working with blood plasma from recovered patients since early April.
The antibodies that these patients produce directly attack and destroy the virus. This is the only virus-specific therapy available.
About 30 patients have received the plasma, cases ranging from medium to severe. Doctors at the coronavirus intensive care unit are pleased with the results.
It means we can intervene, do something to help patients, besides artificial respiration and support. We can help build up their immunity. We've observed the viral load fall in patients. It completely disappeared in one case.
The quality of the samples varies. Not everyone has enough antibodies. The microbiologists have to select the best samples.
The biggest challenge is to assess the quality of the plasma, to detect the antibodies and whether they protect and help the patient during the transfusion.
If the transfusion takes place early enough, it may prevent the use of artificial respiration. The plasma is like a passive vaccination. It offers good recovery chances, without any side effects so far.
Some of our patients have been ill for a long time, and plasma therapy seems to be the most promising option for them right now.
And it's an opportunity for former coronavirus patients to help others and possibly save lives.
Blood plasma therapy. Sounds promising. So is it the answer to our prayers? Let's ask Professor Holger Hackstein, Head of Transfusion Medicine and Cell Engineering at the Medical Immunology Campus in Erlangen. Good to have you with us. Tell me, just how effective is blood plasma therapy in the fight against COVID-19?
Actually, yeah, that's a very good question. Maybe it's the most important question right now, because we just know from empirical scientific reports that plasma therapy from persons that have recovered from an infection and giving their plasma to other sick persons can be quite efficacious. But I must say that there are so far no controlled clinical trials really providing clinical evidence for this assumption.
All right. And of course, without those trials, we also know very little about possible side effects. And certainly we heard in this report about the problem of finding the right antibodies. How do we deal with those challenges?
Yeah, it's a big logistical effort in order to find the right donors and to take care that you have donors that have produced really enough antibodies and good antibodies that target really the virus, because as you may know, there are not so many tests available right now in order to really give you a good answer to that question. But this is getting better every day. That is my feeling. And so far, we can say that we can really identify good donors for this plasma that have really produced a lot of antibodies that are targeting directly the virus.
Could you explain a bit more about what is a good antibody?
Yeah, a good antibody, I would say, is an antibody that targets the virus directly at critical sites. For example, in the coronavirus, has its spike protein that forms this corona shape of the virus. And this spike protein is critical for the virus in order to enter into human cells. So a good antibody would be an antibody that binds directly to this critical site of the virus. And there are some assays available, and we are using also these assays in order to identify blood donors that have produced antibodies against this spike protein.
All right. Now, plasma therapy, of course, isn't really new. Why did we wait until, I think, the beginning of April to try it out on COVID-19 patients?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I think we didn't wait until April. I think in China, they started much earlier already to try this. But as you are right, this is always the same, sequence of events. First, you have a new virus, then you have really emergency treatments coming up, and you have a pandemic in this case that makes it really very difficult. And then people start to figure out these treatment possibilities. And then this is, I think, if you look back to SARS-1, for example, or also with the Ebola crisis, there were different treatment strategies initiated at that time.
And just very, very briefly, could blood plasma therapy be the cure we've been waiting for? Or is it just one piece in a big puzzle that we still have to solve?
I think it's rather one piece in the big puzzle, because I'm a little bit reluctant to say this is the big hit against coronavirus. I think this is not justified. The big hit against corona would be a vaccination, and I'm looking very much forward that we hopefully have soon a vaccination available.
Well, we all look forward to that. Professor Hackstein, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
And now over to our science editor, Derek Williams, who's standing by to answer some of your questions.
I heard there are 3 variants of COVID-19 called A, B and C. Are the symptoms for all 3 the same?
I talked about this last week, and there's been a lot of interest since. So let's look a little closer at the issue of COVID-19 evolution. A study led by researchers at Cambridge University identified 3 different variants of SARS-CoV-2. One type is most commonly found in Asia, and the other 2 are most commonly found in Europe and the US. Now, those 3 types have different genetic signatures, which means that their genomes have mutated in ways that allow us to track how the virus has spread around the globe. But that doesn't mean that the genetic changes have altered these 3 variants to have different effects on you when you catch them. At least there's no clear evidence of that so far. The scientists who found the 3 variants weren't looking for that. They were interested in tracking the spread of the disease.
Does recovering from one variant protect you from the other variants?
As I said, the 3 variants from the study were identified to track the spread of the disease, and the researchers involved didn't compare them to each other in this way. But this is still an interesting question. The jury is, of course, still out on whether or for how long patients who have had the disease will be immune. But going on the assumption that getting it will confer some degree of immunity for an unspecified period of time, what you're asking is basically how much does the virus have to change before a trained immune system won't recognize it if someone gets reinfected? And once again, we don't really know. Every day we're learning more and more about how the immune system reacts to this particular pathogen, but at the same time, it's evolving. We just have to hope that eventually we'll pull ahead in the race.
Can you use boiling water as a harmless disinfectant to kill the virus on surfaces in the bathroom or kitchen?
SARS-CoV-2 is what's known as an enveloped virus. It's coated in a fatty layer, which is why soap and alcohol-based disinfectants have an effect on it. The WHO does say that heating water to temperatures above 65 degrees Celsius has been shown to kill related viruses, but the problem is that those temperatures have to be maintained for a certain period of time, and there's no guarantee that you'll be able to do that in trying to clean surfaces in your bathroom or in your kitchen. Plus, there's an added danger, which is that you could burn yourself badly trying to use water that's that hot. So stick with soap-based or alcohol-based cleaning products. They're more effective and they're a lot safer.